All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about something that, honestly, doesn't get talked about nearly enough. How neurodivergence, we're talking specifically about autism and ADHD here, really shapes sexual confidence in men. And look, this isn't about stereotypes. This is about understanding what's actually going on with the brain, the social stuff, and most importantly, how you can build real, genuine confidence that actually works with your brain, not against it.
Does that sound familiar? That little voice in your head? You're into someone, but your brain is just running a million different programs at once, trying to assess every tiny little thing. And by the time you've processed it all, well, the moment's gone. If you're a neurodivergent guy, this feeling of being frozen, it's not a personal flaw. It's just the reality of trying to navigate a world that runs on a bunch of unwritten rules.
And look, this isn't just a feeling. The data backs it up in a pretty big way. One study found that only about 32% of people with autism say they've had a partner. Now, this isn't about a lack of desire. It's about the challenge of navigating the dating world. And when that happens over and over, it starts to chip away at your self-worth, making you think the problem is you.
So why? Why is this such a common experience? Well, it really boils down to one central conflict. The whole neurotypical dating playbook, right? It's built on a foundation of unspoken rules and subtle signals that neurodivergent brains just aren't wired to process in the same way.
I mean, think about it. Mainstream confidence is all about being able to do these things almost without thinking. Reading body language, picking up on hints, not overthinking, all while your senses are being bombarded. But for someone with autism or ADHD, these are the exact areas that are challenging. It's kind of like being dropped into a high-stakes poker game where everyone else knows the rules, but you were never handed the rulebook.
So let's dig into the why a little bit, because this part is absolutely crucial. This is not a character flaw, it's a neurological difference. Think of it this way. Your brain just has a different operating system. It's not worse, it's just optimized for different things.
So on the one hand, if you're autistic, your brain might struggle to translate all those ambiguous, nonverbal cues that neurotypical flirting is built on, and it can be super sensitive to touch, sound, or smell. On the other hand, if you have an ADHD brain, you're dealing with attention that can drift or impulsivity that might make you misread a situation. It's just a different setup.
So what happens when you spend your entire life trying to pretend you have a different operating system? Well, you develop a survival strategy. And that strategy comes at a huge, huge psychological price.
It's called masking. It's that exhausting, constant performance of trying to act neurotypical. And in intimate situations, it's absolutely catastrophic. Because when you hide your real sensory needs, or you just go along with something to seem normal, you're basically teaching yourself on a deep level that the real you is unacceptable. And that is the absolute opposite of sexual confidence.
And here, you can see the result. The constant stress of masking and managing everything just takes a massive toll. This review found that men with ADHD report a sexual satisfaction rate of only 27%. Compare that to 68% for their peers. That's not about a lack of desire. That's the real-world impact of all these challenges.
And this is so important to get. Years and years of feeling rejected, of being told you're weird or awkward, that doesn't just magically vanish when you get into an intimate situation. All that shame you've collected becomes the filter you see everything through. It turns intimacy into this high-stakes test where you're just terrified of failing.
Okay, so that's the problem, and it's a big one. But you know what? Understanding the problem is the first real step to building a solution. So let's pivot. Let's talk about the toolkit. Real, actionable things you can do that work with your brain's wiring.
Here's the most powerful mental shift you can make. Your greatest asset isn't some kind of spontaneous, neurotypical charm. It's your ability to be direct and clear. What society sometimes calls blunt is actually an incredible tool for creating clarity, respect, and consent, which, let's be real, are way more valuable than guessing games. So how do you actually do that? You build a framework. Prepare a few phrases for things you know you'll need to say. It takes the pressure off in the moment. Agree on clear signals beforehand. It takes out all the guesswork. And honestly, just asking, hey, I'm not sure how to read that, can you tell me what you mean? That simple question can replace a mountain of anxiety with a real connection.
Okay, now let's get super practical about the physical side of things. Intimacy is a sensory overload by design. But instead of just trying to endure it, you can basically become the architect of the experience. If touch gets to be too much, you can agree to start slow, maybe in places that are less intense. If random noises pull you out of the moment, make a playlist. These aren't weird requests. They're just ways to make sure the experience is actually, enjoyable for you too.
You see where all these tools are pointing? It's all leading to one final, really important shift in how you think. It's about completely redefining what confidence even means in the first place.
See, the old model, the one that causes all the anxiety, is based on this idea of being effortlessly smooth, of just performing perfectly without trying. It's a standard that's not only impossible for a lot of neurodivergent people, but honestly, it's kind of an illusion for neurotypicals too.
The new model, on the other hand, is real. It's achievable. It's confidence that's built on knowing what you need and having the guts to say it out loud. It's about advocating for yourself. And here's the best part. It's about using that honesty to find people who are actually compatible with who you really are.
So what can you do like today? Start making clear communication a non-negotiable. Pick one small sensory need and practice advocating for it. And start seeing your authenticity not as a problem, but as your best filter for finding the right people. And hey, if you need backup, look for support that gets it.
Because here's the bottom line. You don't need to be fixed to deserve connection. Your job is not to become more neurotypical. Your job is to become more you, and to find the people who value that. The right person isn't going to see your needs as a burden. They're going to see them as just part of you.
So let's end on this one thought. Don't worry about changing your whole personality overnight. Just think about this. What is one small, authentic need you have? Maybe it's for more clarity or a different sensory environment. What's one need that you can practice communicating this week? Because that, right there, is where real confidence starts.